All right, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for UFC Vegas 67. This one's on the main card at featherweight. Got Dan Ige taking on Damon Jackson. These guys are even on reach. Damon Jackson is going to be 4 inches taller. Fortis MMA for Jackson. Extreme Couture for Dan Ige. So two solid gyms. But I will start with Damon Jackson. Definitely at the best place he's ever been in his career. Battled through a lot of adversity, uh, was cut from the UFC, made his way back, has been brutally knocked out like 3 times in his career. Um, One was with LFA, got knocked out bad by Kevin Aguilar. Uh, got knocked out in the first round against Ilya Taporia in his second fight into his second stint in the UFC. And he was also knocked out very badly on PFL with a jumping knee. Just fell face first, was out bad. So it's I'm happy for him. I like rooting for Damon Jackson. Both of these guys are just fighters I like to root for, money aside. So I'm happy to see him have some success. It's a good story. He's hungry. He's in there all the time. So yeah, this is a big opportunity for him to crack into the featherweight rankings here. But yeah, he comes back in his second stint and he gets dominated on the ground by Mirsad Bektic for round one and two. Threatens a nice guillotine from the bottom in round two. Damon Jackson, very well rounded on the ground, off his back, defensive and offensive. He's mostly been imposing his grappling for the better part of like the last 3 years between LFA and the UFC. But if he is on the bottom, he's always got submission threats or he's able to get up. But people forgot that Mirsad Bektic had some pretty good wrestling, and he manages to get a great reversal, sinks in the guillotine, late 2020 that was, I believe, and picks up that win as a big underdog. And then the Taporia fight gets knocked out. No shame there, obviously. Taporia looking like he's primed for top five, maybe even champ level. I don't know who's going to stop him. But yeah, we look at these last 4 wins. Charles Rosa, that was a pick 'em. Won that one pretty comfortably. Had to battle through a really nasty cut, but controlled Charles Rosa on the ground, who has good BJJ. Definitely well versed on the ground, but he kind of tends to he's too comfortable off his back, and it leads him into trouble. That's what happened in that one. Kemwella Kirk picks up the second round triangle, unanimous decision win over Daniel Argetta. Again, a lot of grappling control in that one. Had his back for much of the first round, and then definitely the biggest win in this little run here against Pat Sabatini. Catches him with an uppercut, knocks him out. His brother had just passed away prior to that fight, so it was an emotional win for him. And yeah, took out a surging contender who looked excellent on the ground up until that point. Never really had to go to the ground with him though because just caught him with the uppercut. His striking is deceptive. I do worry about his chin just a little bit because some of these knockouts have been brutal. But yeah, he's got good accuracy and he immediately shoots the takedowns when he lands, when he starts to get in a groove on the feet. So he wants this fight grounded. That's where he wins his fights, and he has a lot of submissions on his record. But yeah, for Dan Ige, it's the opposite. He's lost 4 of his last 5, and before that decision against Edson Barbosa, very controversial. I do think Barbosa won that fight, but it was really close. But with Dan Ige, this is a guy who was definitely shooting up in the division late 2019, 2020, and then he just has to face like a murderer's rogue. It's his first main event against Calvin Cater, and just gets outworked in that one. Very comfortable decision for Calvin Cater, I should say. I'd give him 4 rounds, possibly 5. But Dan Ige, very tough. Definitely has a granite chin. Just stayed in there. And then he comes back, sends Gavin Tucker to the Shadow Realm with a right cross. Rare knockout for Ige. Doesn't have a ton of knockouts. But and then just back to the murderers row. Chan Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, just gets outworked badly in that one. Josh Emmett and Mavsar Evlaev just gets outworked in that one too, on the ground mostly and on the feet. But all these guys, man, these are all top 5 level talents. So this is the UFC. You see this all the time. Like Edson Barbosa had lost 4 or 5 at one point. When you're at the highest level, there's going to be losses to really good fighters, and you just can't do MMA math. You got to look at how they looked in those fights and go from there. But stylistically, Dan Ige, very good kickboxing, very good hooks that he primarily leans on. That's the best part of his striking base. Hooks to the body and hooks to the head that he wraps around. Even if you block them, they seem to do a lot of damage. And like I said, granite chin. And the thing that people forget about Dan Ige's game is he has very good defensive wrestling and excellent sub defense. There's been a couple times in his career where he looks like he's going to go to sleep and he just doesn't. Um, so sub defense very good. BJJ black belt used to train with Khabib. Just all around very good for Dan Ige. All around good skill set, I should say. But yeah, those losses don't look good at first glance. But if you know, you know. These guys are all killers, and this fight is priced correctly. If you ask me, we got odds for this one. Which, by the way, if you take a look here on best fight odds, there's some juiced lines on this card. Mateusz Rombeski, 6-1 favorite, averaging just about. That doesn't necessarily surprise me. This one is insane though. Charles Johnson opens up at like minus 150 against Jimmy Flick, and he's now minus 500. That's crazy. But yeah, the odds are out, and this one priced correctly, I would say, as a pick 'em. On Tapology, I looked earlier, 52% going with Damon Jackson. And I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to go with Dan Ige. I think that this is a perfect opportunity for him to get back in the win column. No disrespect to Jamin Jackson, because like I said, he's a guy I like to root for, and I'm happy for the success he's having. But I think he's being a little bit overrated right now. He's been crushing some of these fighters that he should crush, where there's a clear grappling advantage. And I just don't think he's going to have that advantage against Dan Ige. He's going to have the advantage on the ground, I would say. But I don't think he's going to submit him, and I don't think he's going to be able to control Dan Ige like he's controlled these other guys. I do expect him to get the fight to the ground, maybe win a round. But Dan Ige responds very well to adversity. He's got a very good relationship with his cornermen, and I just expect him to get back in the win column here. I think that if this fight was capped like 2 years ago, it would be like Dan Ige minus 300, and you can't let that necessarily affect your analysis, but I think that Damon Jackson being a little bit overvalued here and Dan Ige being undervalued. So it's a pick 'em for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Damon Jackson's able to get the win, but I would say Dan Ige by decision. But we'll see what we can get for knockout props, man. If there's ever a time for a flyer, this might be the one. I'm sure that it's going to be a pretty good price because Dan Ige not really a knockout guy, and we've seen what happens if you connect clean with Damon Jackson. He's gone to sleep more than once, and Dan Ige definitely has the power, and he sits down on his punches. And he's not a guy who's definitely going to be super afraid of the takedown because he's not a fish out of water on the ground at all. So yeah, I like Dan Ige. I think he's just got the much better striking. He's got a chain. He's got the sub defense. He's got good defensive wrestling and BJJ. I think it's just he hasn't won in a while, and people are just kind of undervaluing him. So I'm going to go with Dan Ige in this one. But thanks for watching, guys. Sure to subscribe and take it easy.